Aaron Baines. Before becoming a fan favorite in Boston and the productive limited-minute center he is to this day in Phoenix, it took incredible dedication for Baines to make the NBA. He moved from Australia in 2005 to play for Washington State, playing all 4 seasons for the Cougars, but even after an impressive senior season, he got zero attention from GMs at the 2009 NBA draft. He played for the Lakers' Summer League team, but then spent the rest of 2009 all the way through January of 2013 playing in 4 different leagues overseas before finally being signed in San Antonio on January 23rd of 2013. A year and a half later, in 2014, the 7-foot Aussie became an NBA champion with the Spurs scoring in 3 finals games and playing 14 playoff games in total. Now in his 8th season, he does get posted a lot, but the 3 centers picked in the draft he entered are all long gone from the NBA, while 33-year-old Baines was averaging career highs by far this season before he got hurt. Number 9, Chris Boucher. At ages 16 to 18, having to choose between living with a mother in a new relationship with a man he didn't get along with, or a very strict father, Boucher chose neither, dropped out of high school, and went homeless. He needed dedication, and basketball was about to give him just that. He was mentored by Coach Ibrahim Apaya at Alma Academy, a school designed to help inner-city teens with struggling future prospects. From there, Boucher would play at small junior colleges in New Mexico and Wyoming, where he'd impress recruiters from numerous Division I basketball schools. He chose Oregon. He and his teammates would go deep into the NCAA tournament, which gave him a solo cover on Sports Illustrated asking where he'd come from and speculating where he might go. But Boucher tore his ACL, and every team passed on him twice in 2017's draft. He got healthy, signed a 2-way contract with the Warriors, got traded to Toronto where, in the minors, he became the first player to win G League's MVP and Defensive Player of the Year awards in the same season, before being recalled back up to the Raptors. Boucher became a 2019 NBA champ, and if you saw his segment in my Raptor breakdown, you're aware of his potential on both ends, but a damn inspirational, against all odds story for the man. Number 8, Derrick Jones Jr., controversial dunk contest winner, but nonetheless showing up big time with mesmerizing jams under the bright lights. The Heat's backup forwards come a long way. In 2015's ESPN High School Basketball ranking, Jones was 2 spots behind Brandon Ingram and Jaylen Brown for the 4th best small forward in the country. So why did GMs forget about him a year later at the draft? Well, his lone season at UNLV was cut short due to injury, and executives were looking at Derrick as a development project, and for the time being, an extremely raw athlete. NBADraft.net noted Jones as a player with an extremely frail build who easily gets pushed off balance and has extremely poor shooting mechanics. Yet in 2020, he's still 23 years old with 4 years of pro experience under his belt, playing just under 25 minutes for the 4th seed in the East. His 6'7" frame and that patented springy vertical he's got helps him provide Miami with solid 2-way production, but based off the fact that the dunk champ was only a 1-year college player with his athletic upside, it's blasphemy! He was passed on in all 60 draft slots. Number 7, Wesley Matthews. Still sniping in his 11th season. Just over a decade ago, after 4 years at Marquette, Matthews saw shooting guards Jack McClinton, Robert Vader, those 2 never played in the NBA, plus Jody Meeks and Nick Calathis, who are no longer in the league, get selected ahead of him in the late 2nd round. Wesley Matthews, was given a chance by the Jazz, flourished shooting a career best to this date, 48.3% from the field, helping the Jazz to the 5th seed. Then the cash came fast. Portland needed a floor spacer next to Aldridge and Lillard, and gave Wes $34 million for 5 seasons. He played in 250 consecutive NBA games before tragically tearing his ACL. He's never really been the same since on both ends since that injury. He did lock down LeBron once, but his deep-range ruthlessness is still as consistent as it's ever been. Number 6, Terrence Davis. With teams in the late 2nd round wanting him to sign a 2-way contract where he'd be forced to be up and down from the G League, TD told teams not to select him, and those GMs seamlessly obliged, leaving him to get picked up by the reigning champs. And just like Wes Matthews after this season, Terrence Davis can sign a hefty multiple-year contract like a typical free agent. That's some fearless stuff right there. Davis knew his value, but also the vision he had for his career. A theme you're starting to see develop on this list is that there's, for whatever reason, a general sense of risk among drafting players who played 4 years of college. But anyway, when Davis oddly told teams not to draft him, there was no way he was getting picked. Now he's proving to be an up-and-coming star. I fully broke it down last video, but I think Terrence has Jimmy Butler type potential. Before the top 5, I asked, are the Raptors real contenders last video? Kartik Sath says easily they have 6 to 7 guys who they can rely on to give you a 20-point night, and they're built around their top 3 in the league defense. Questions coming up for next vid shoutout. Stay tuned for that. Number 5, Duncan Robinson. Bursting onto the scene in South Beach, the Heat's starting small forward is a sharpshooting artist. Robinson also trails the number 1 most efficient shooter from deep, J.J. Redick, by 2 percentage points. His journey to the NBA wasn't as surefire as his jumper looks nowadays, though. After his high school career, Duncan accepted a non-scholarship offer to play at Williams College, a tiny Division III school in western Massachusetts with exactly 0 NBA alumni. Williams head coach Mike Maker left after Robinson's freshman year, and as a favor put him in touch with then Michigan head coach John Beilein, who employed Maker as an assistant at West Virginia. Beilein was impressed with Robinson's silky shooting stroke, and by 2015 the New Englander was playing at a Big Ten powerhouse. Unfortunately, 3 efficient seasons in the most competitive college division didn't get him any respect from GMs at the draft. Then he beasted at the 2018 Summer League, as Duncan locked in to make 22 of his 38 attempts overall from the field, while hitting an impressively staggering 17 of 27 from 3 in 5 games. The Heat then signed him, but only to a 2-way deal. Last year he played 33 games and was All-NBA G League 3rd team, averaging over 21 points per game in 33 outings. There's been a pattern of being completely overlooked throughout his career, but now Robinson's one of the most valuable marksmen in the NBA. Number 4, Robert Covington. 4 years at Tennessee State led Cov to get snubbed in the 2013 NBA draft. The Rockets signed him to a multi-year deal, but only played him 7 games, and Robert won the then known as D-League Rookie of the Year. Still, Houston didn't buy him as a legit talent and waived him in late October of 2014, but Philly took a chance on him, signing him 4 years, expecting him to contribute to a tanking process while maybe developing into a tradable asset. It was rough for the first few years, but eventually Covington became one of the most valuable options on a Sixer team that got 3 wins from the conference finals. That year, he made all-defensive first team, but after getting traded for Jimmy Butler, he spent a few years losing in Minnesota. Luckily, he's back on a contender, coming around full circle, getting traded to the Houston Rockets, the first team he played with, where he, PJ Tucker, Jeff Green, among others, are expected to play the small ball center position, which is going to be damn interesting to watch play out. Number 3, Joe Ingles. Winning the 2007 Rookie of the Year in Australia's National Basketball League, Ingles spent the first 3 years of his pro career in his home country. Then he spent nearly 4 years in Spain, thriving with FC Barcelona before moving southeast to Israel to play for Maccabi Tel Aviv, where he and soon-to-be Cavs head coach David Blatt would win the EuroLeague championship. That finally got Joe some attention, and the Clippers gave him a chance in the preseason but waived him before the actual season started, which Joe said he's thankful for.
Situation that kind of happened with the Clippers and getting cut and knowing at 27 this might be my last chance. Just looking back now, it's a blessing in disguise that it's happened the way it's happened, and I'm thankful that they did cut me because it's worked out great. Couldn't be with a better organisation and a better fit for the way I play.
Now known in Utah as Jinglin' Joe, after signing 4 extensions with the Jazz since October 27th of 2014, he's still a great leader, defender, and passer for his young teammates and is one of the better 3-and-D players in the NBA. Number 2, Kendrick Nunn. We just saw our second Aussie featured in this video, but now you're looking at the 6th player on this list who played 4 years in college. And maybe GM should start taking players who get 4 years of college basketball experience seriously. Kendrick Nunn averaged 26 points and led all of Division I college basketball in 3-point shooting in his senior season. But GM said, nope, too much of a risk. He should have entered the NBA draft when he was younger. It's ridiculous he went undrafted, especially looking at all the completely unknown players selected in the second round, one of which I can't pronounce, so here's a title. But Nunn spent 2018-19 in the G League, where he started only 1 of 49 games for Santa Cruz, but still put up over 29 points per game. The rising star K-Nuns now ran with the opportunity as being a top option for a top seed in the East. He's a slicing and dicing pick-and-roll artist, if that makes sense. He uses screens to perfection and either craftily pulls up, sets up teammates, or uses his quick first step to explode to the hoop. Honorable mentions to the highly considered Golden State's Quinn Cook, Houston's Chris Clemens, Toronto's Matt Thomas, and San Antonio's Bryn Forbes, along with other current undrafted NBAers JaMychal Green of the Clippers, JJ Barea of the Mavs, and Kent Bazemore still hanging around in Sacramento. Number 1, Fred VanVleet. The big-time shot-making champion Steady Freddy is an easy choice for this number 1 spot. His current value's off the charts. Even defensively with his scrappiness, he's tops in league-wide steals per game, but reminiscing to 2016, expecting GMs to put their full belief in him, a draft party was thrown for VanVleet's family and friends to celebrate his looming selection into the best pro basketball league in the world, when executives would only draft him if he'd sign a two-way contract where he'd be forced to be up and down from the G League. VanVleet bet on himself, and even though it would mean embarrassingly not getting picked in front of his friends and family, he told teams to look elsewhere with their selection, eventually getting a chance with the brilliant and godly in my hometown of the 6, Masai Ujiri.